All right. Getting ready for another day of painting. All right. I'm not totally sold on all this. A lot of it actually is pretty dry from last night. It helps to use a medium to help it dry. But I need to work on the sky. So the sky, I want to create a gradient. I don't want to have it this chromatic. So I'm going to make it more of a pale color like this so that there will be color harmony and it will really help turn the forms at the top of the peaks. If I leave it the current blue that it is, it's just too chromatic and it fights against everything else. It doesn't have a good natural feel. So gradient, it's going to be more chromatic towards the top, and as it gets down to the horizon, it's going to be less chromatic. Maybe slightly darker value. But I want to just have it jump this way so that the focus stays in this area. So lightest values are going to be here. I might need to lighten up these values to kind of push them back. Same with these to push them back into space. But I have the whole painting turned upside down because I want to work on this lower part and I want to have somewhere to put my hands. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, now that I know the plan, got to make sure I have some paint and medium. Start painting. All right, clean off the palette knife. And I'm going to just clear off some of this blue. There we go. I just want to get off some of these areas of thick paint because I want this to look and read pretty darn flat. So, or make vertical brush strokes so that it's not distracting. Can see my head popping out the bottom there. That's always fun. All right, let's see if I can stay out of the view. I might. Okay, there. Went a little bit shorter. Yay. I guess I could zoom in a little bit more. My head will pop in and out. Hopefully I won't cover it up while I'm working on it. Titanium buff. That's my go-to color for this painting, I guess. A little bit of drying medium. So if I put that there, that's going to be way too light. Some Naples yellow. Some King's blue. That might be a pretty good value to use. Value and color. And then I will make it more chromatic as I come down. I guess if the sky goes up. All right, let's see if that works out. Going to use this Rosemary Ivory X long flat paintbrush to get a lot of these shapes in here. I'm also going to redefine the shapes just a little bit more. I want to keep this stuff simple, so let's see how it goes. Because this paint is dry, I don't have to be as careful pulling the color of the rocks into the paint that I'm applying. So that definitely makes it stick out more, that's for sure, at least the red rocks. Maybe a little bit more paint. Gosh, I'm going to use up all this paint. Really look at the shape here. I want to make it just a little bit more interesting. More paint. I hear a lot of people talk about how they use too much paint and it's really, really thin. I don't think that's a very entertaining painting to look at, but I tend to think of painting more as a sculpture. If I don't want it as sculptural, then yeah, using thinner paint, but it goes back to the good old days of illustration when I would illustrate and you just want to create an image. You're not worried about or thinking about texture. But when I'm making a painting, I personally want to make a good amount of texture because I want it to be interesting for people to look at. And I'm doing vertical brush strokes so that the glare from the light doesn't hit off of it. I wonder if I can show you what I'm talking about. Here, I'll do a horizontal brush stroke just to show you what the light does. Because I have a light that's coming directly above me. You can see the cast shadow of my hand. So if I do a horizontal brush stroke, it's the same color. It just looks lighter in value. And that's because light is bouncing off of the ridges of the paint film. And so if I come back over, I can take that same color and basically erase it. Isn't that nice? So nice. All right. some Naples yellow. I'm going to just punch this part just a little bit more. Just a little bit of a push there. It's very subtle, but it's enough. The other thing I want to try to avoid when doing a sky or a cloud is creating a halo around the painting. There's a ceramicist that I used to work with at the university, Glenn Blakely. He would also do paintings too. He was a pretty darn good painter, but I mean, his specialty was ceramics. He could throw off the hump or throw on a wheel while he was in his sleep. It was crazy. He was so good. And then he would just give away a lot of his art. But anyways, he would tell me his number one pet peeve was these halos that artists would create around objects. So here, I'll show you an example. So if I take this and I go around this paint, this form with the same shape like this, and then I'd come in and I would paint into that with this darker blue, kind of like that, it would create this very subtle halo around the object, this little light value sitting there, and that would just drive them nuts. So I try not to do that. Sometimes it happens, but so I try to go all the way to the edge. And go horizontal in relationship to the object instead of going around it. So this is a really nice brush. I've used it for this painting, and I'm really kind of digging it. Maybe I need to add a little bit more blue. Oh no, I'm looking at it from a distance. I don't know if I love it or not. Maybe I am. I don't know. Well, I'll get it all painted in there and then figure out later. I think I need more paint. I don't know, it's kind of looking good. It's like baby bluish. Oh no, I got paint on my easel. Another fun thing you can do with paint after you've put a layer on is to go over it with a palette knife after it's dried and you remove the peaks of the new layer of paint that you put on, and it reveals the underpainting, this blue color. So I'm painting over all of this blue, but if I want to expose part of that blue, it can just create more texture like this, and it reads as a different object in the sky, or whatever you want. How's that look from a distance? It looks pretty good. All right, I think I need more paint. Maybe I need to pick a different brush because this one is doing pretty good, but it's not giving me thick textural paint. It's giving me a flatter shape, which, I mean, makes sense. It's a flat brush, but surprisingly flat. I didn't think it would be this flat. That's okay. I want the sky to be flat anyways. Aw, yeah. Just as a side note, played a little bit of pickleball this morning. It was kind of fun. Took me about 30 minutes to get out to my friend's place to be able to play. I am okay at playing pickleball. I'm definitely not the best, but I met one of my students. Her father, I guess, is a pro pickleball player. Pro pickleball player? Pro pickler? I don't know. Something along those lines. And he said he'd love to go out sometime and play. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm into getting destroyed. It helps me focus more. I think that's why I like painting so much. It's because I feel like I'm so incompetent with how to paint or what to paint. I mean, I compare myself to awesome artists like John Singer Sargent and Alma Tadema. I've heard so many people call them different names, but a lot of artists out there that are phenomenal. I mean, heck, even living artists like Jeremy Lipking and Casey Boz, really good. I mean, I could list tons. Casey Childs. Jeff Hine, he's a good one. David Dibble. He's also a good one. Good BYU artist. He used to teach at BYU. I guess he's not anymore. I guess he found the dream and wanted to be an artist. So he made it happen, which I think would be fun, just being a full-time artist. I mean, that's basically what I am during the summer. There we go. being a full-time artist, but I do spend a lot of time with my kids. Mostly my daughter, because my high school boys are older, 18 and 17. Okay, I don't know. Am I liking this? I'm not sure. Just try to keep that line even as it goes across. There we go. All right. What do we think? Yay, nay? Too much? Too little? Maybe. All right. You know what? Maybe I do need to push that just a little bit more. I'm going to take this and go just slightly more blue. Love that king's blue. And instead of going with the whatever color that is, the titanium buff. Gonna go with this color. Let's do it again. I need to change my angle just a little bit more so that I'm not making it. There we go. Makes it just a little bit softer of a transition. Oh, and there's a little bit of a halo there. Is that reading good? Okay, I think that I'm kind of liking how that reads. A couple little parts that I need to adjust. I need to adjust this part. All right, looking at from a distance has a nice feel to it. Kind of digging that. All right. Now I'm going to lighten up this value and this value a little bit more to make these other guys contrast, pop out a little bit better. So now I'm going to take the palette knife. Ooh, that looks pretty good. That needs to be just slightly darker. Oh yeah, I'm liking that a lot more. All right, and then here, just a little bit. Just softening out that edge a little bit more. I want it to push back. So if I leave it at a hard edge, then it's going to pop forward. If I soften the edge, it will settle back. This part just a little bit lighter. Picked up some of the sky value there. Don't want it. There we go. All right, that pushes it back more, which is nice. Now I need to do it to the other side. Over here. Soften that edge a little bit more. That's good. Then I'm just going to warm up part of that. Not too much, but then I think I'm going to darken that value down just a little bit more as it goes around. If I could finish speaking, as it goes around the edge of this rock face. A little bit more orangey. Whoa, not a lot more, a little more. Jeez Louise. There, that divides the shape just a little bit more. A little bit darker, these vertical. There we go. Just some finesse some shapes in here. Decrease the transparency right there. Then this plane needs to go just a little bit cooler, but just a slightly darker value. Let's try that. Maybe? I don't know. And then I'm going to soften that and diffuse it a little bit more. All right. I don't know. Should I put some clouds in there? Will that be too much? If anyone were watching this live, which I think there's a couple, do a vote. Should I do clouds? I think I won't. There's enough information here that provides a nice little breath of fresh air versus up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to refine a couple of these little edges on the Rocky Mountains or the rocky surfaces to turn the form better. Maybe I could finish this painting soon. All right. Go more of a gray. A little bit of medium. just want to turn the forms because the light is coming down onto the rock faces that are perpendicular to the sky, and I need to just cool those down a little bit more. Also helps to kind of soften out some edges. So I'm going to get some more King's Blue. Transparent oxide red, and some medium. Let's go over here. I don't know if that's too much, too little. Let's keep going. Oh yeah, it's mixing with the sky, so I'm pulling it in. Too much, too much. Now the problem with that is it's too light of a value. All right, soften out that edge just a little bit more. And then the top two edges over here too. Go slightly darker, but cool. Clean off the brush. Do the next one. Okay, how does that read? Reads pretty good. Then I want to soften out this edge too, and that happens to be pretty close to that same blue. There, then it makes it feel like the light is turning on that form. And then this vertical plane needs to be warmer. Clean off the brush. There we go. Then there are a couple of planes that are in here that need to turn the form. So I'm going to make those close to the same value, just a little bit more gray. Let's see if that works. No, too dark. Let's try that. That might be it. I like that color more because that tends to be almost a direct complementary to the red, and it makes the red, orangish red, kind of stick out. Create some other harmony elsewhere. Gosh, I don't know. Those two shapes look to be the close to the same size. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger so that it's not repetitive. Yay, nay, yay. All right, pick up some more of this. Gonna do some dry brushing. Let's do it again. All right. It's coming along. This is just a bit too much. There we go. Kind of kill that. Even the shape, I don't want it to be too repetitive. Let's kill that just a little bit. I don't even know if you can see any difference, but I'm just taking this and this cool color against the warm, kind of scumbling across it to create a little bit more variation. There are other little areas where I'm going to do the same thing with, because the paint is the painting is dry enough that I can do some dry brush strokes over it to create a little bit more variation. So some raw umber. I don't want to make it too dark because I don't want to make it contrast too much, just to show that there's change in shape, form, color. It just creates a little bit more interest. Just taking the paintbrush and kind of softly going over it with this gray. Holding it from the end of the paintbrush so that I get a very light, soft feel to it. The value looks to be about right. Even the color, I could go a little bit colder, but I want this to be subtle. It's also making these small little, almost fissure type marks. If anyone comes and cleans this painting in the future, they'll remove all of it. It's the downside to indirect painting. You create all these interesting marks and stuff, and then if somebody comes around and decides to clean it after a little while, it'll get ruined. There we go. That actually is better. Happy accidents. Gosh, I don't know. Okay, I'm kind of liking it. Just looking at the reference to see if there's anything else that I'm wanting to do. There are a couple of streaks that are coming down, and maybe I'll indicate those, but not too intensely. Let's try that. A little bit darker. If I do another one here, that separates it, makes it just a little too repetitive for my liking. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'll put a couple of other iron deposit drips. Soften out that just a little bit. That too. There we go. Okay, maybe. This line right here is just a bit too much for my liking. I wonder if it's wet enough to... Yeah, I think so. It's wet enough I can soften the edge. Apply a little bit of friction. Didn't do too much, but... Make that form turn just a little bit more. A little bit of chatter on that rock face. And then there are little areas here that are slightly darker, so this might be too much, but let's go for it. I think that draws too much attention there. Okay, I'm going to take that off. Just kind of soften that out. There you go. It's a bit too much. Too dark. Come on. Too chromatic. There we go. This is just a bit too dark for my liking, so I'm going to make it lighter. That other rock face was a little too chromatic for my liking. I'm trying to get a visual of the whole scene. Where do planes turn away? Where do they go forward? Thinking that looks pretty good. All right. Let's see if the water's dry enough. Ooh, maybe it is. I could probably finish the water, even though I painted it yesterday. But you know what? I have time. It's 12:30. I'm going to flip it over and see what it looks like. But before I flip it over and see what it looks like, there's one little part I need to fix. Okay, any other parts that are kind of like that? Oh, that's too much the same shape. So bump, 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 bump. They're all like spaced out the same. No good. So let's flatten it out. Oh, that's the wrong one. Pulling up wrong colors and values. All right, and then we can cool that part off. A little more cool. There we go. That reads as a more solid shape. This little part looks to be too distracting. So I'm going to go over it just a little bit to kind of knock it back. I don't want it to pop out too much. There we go. That reads better. Okay, I'm gonna flip it around and rework the water. All right, now that I have it flipped over, looking at part of this, it's too much. Like the texture's too much. So I'm gonna clear that out. I'd rather have texture that I have to scrape off than no texture at all. All right. Gotta use more paint. There, that pushes it back, but now this part looks very similar. So I need to pop that contrast just a little bit more. Let's go with this color. Too much red. A little bit of yellow. Okay, a lot of yellow. Holy shiitake mushrooms. Oh my goodness. All right. That was too much. Way too much. Let's go back to some red. There we go. Nope, too dark. Naples yellow. All right. That might be it. Might be it. Now it's too dark. More Naples yellow. Scoop it up. All right, I'm not really loving this part yet. So I'm going to drop it down a little bit so I can see it better. Okay, not too bad for your view. All right, this part, I need to figure out what is going on here. So this just doesn't work. This looks like it turns form up and out. This kind of looks just random. This looks like it's angling down and then dropping down. So this part, I need to change this plane. But if I make this plane the same as that one, it's going to be too repetitive. So how about I'm going to soften out that transition. Just need to darken the value. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not loving it yet. I need to love it. How am I going to love this? Take a slightly darker value and put it there. Let's see if that works. Some transparent oxide red, a little raw umber. Too much raw umber. There we go. Let's see if that works. All right, I think that masses it in just a little bit better. And now that is massing, I'm not liking this zigzag thing. See, this is just all, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this. But that is painting. All right, let's go back down here. I'm going to put a band of there's just like a little, I don't know, band of color change that goes on there that's a little bit more orange. So let's do the same thing here. All right, I don't want to get too detailed. It's going to look all funky if I do that. But some little details might be good. Up a little bit darker. Kind of liking that. Okay, coming along. All right, now I'm going to play around with the water a little bit. I need to make sure that I have a strategy or a plan on what I'm going to be doing with the water, because the reference is pretty rough looking, and I don't want to make it look crystal clear. So in order to do that, you just soften out some things. So here I'm going to keep, I think I should keep that value. Maybe I'll make this value just a little bit darker and become more diffused as it comes further out. There's some paint. Little tube blue. Some raw umber. That kills it pretty good. Ooh, that's pretty close. Let's go a little bit more raw umber. There, it's a little bit more crisp. then as it goes further away, it turns more brown. Yeah. Soften that down just a little bit, and that down just a little bit. The slope needs to be correct though, because that angle needs to be the same as the angle that's up here. And then soften it out as it goes further away. Okay, I'm actually really liking the colors and stuff that I have in here. What's going on? I'm gonna take some of this and get that value right here. There's just, there was too much of a light value that was sitting in there. Okay. Now I have slightly lighter values that I need to kind of scumble into there. But I don't want to go this light. And it's not the same exact value as that, which that's pretty much the same exact value. So I need to go darker. All right, let's see if that'll work. Looks pretty good. All right, let's take that same thing and go here. Okay, then there's this slightly darker value that's sitting in here that's a higher chroma blue, but I don't want it to be too distracting. So I'm going to try to find the right value to go down here and the right chroma. It's going to be darker than the sky, but I don't think that's too dark. So I'm going to add some King's Blue to this. That's going to be too light. I just know. Needs to go darker. That might be too chromatic. And there's nothing that is that blue on the painting, so I'm going to just tone it down a little bit. Let's try that. Well, that's kind of nice, actually. I don't even know if you can see the bottom of the painting, but I'm just using this slightly darker, higher chroma blue. To indicate that there's change in the water, change of direction. Whenever the water shifts a little bit, it will shift. Water is just like a bunch of peaks. So if it's glass smooth, then it's just reflecting exactly what's there. If it's a little bit rough because a little bit of wind is going over it, then you're going to get these subtle little peaks that will soften the edges of the water. If you have big waves, then you handle it just like you would these peaks where you're getting a point, you have a shadow side and a light side, and depending upon which angle the sunlight's coming in, that's going to change. I'm just dry brushing across this. Want to do the same type of thing over here. All right, one last dry brush going over this whole thing. I'm going to just take some King's Blue, go over it, not load it up, but just over a couple areas. It's good. This value is just a bit too dark. That's better. All right. I think that's better. Just every once in a while there are these little snots that I'm not digging so much. I'm not digging the snot. And I think I want to push this to be a little bit more warm, kind of like that part. I know I'm getting into the nitty-gritty of things. I mean, I might call it done here in a second. Warmer. Gosh, I don't know if you'll even be able to see that. I see it. Sure you are, Brandon. I'm just wondering if I want to play with the penumbra a little bit. And I think I will. I got to make something more interesting. So now I need to try to find the right value. And I'm going to go with this orange, add some white. No, I'm going to go with this orange and some Naples yellow. Transparent oxide red. Some perylene red. Ooh, that's a little too light. All right, let's try that. Maybe. I don't know if that's too much. Maybe it's too much. And then I'm going to take these other areas. I'm going to change it. If it is too much, that's fine. People will have to deal with it, or whoever buys it will have to deal with it. All right, that blue. Let's try this. I might be overdoing it with this penumbra. Just trying to determine if I like it or not. I don't know if I like it. Maybe I need to sit out on it for a while. Yeah, okay. I'll sit on it for a little bit. I won't sign it right now. I'll probably sign it a little bit later. I'm not sure if I'm quite done with it or if I want to work on it some more, but I need to move on to other paintings and get them more finished. So I think I'm going to call it a day on this one and start to work on another painting. I don't know, maybe I'll get on and do another video of the next landscape painting. I actually want to do a couple of still life paintings because I have some nectarines that are ready and some plums and pluots, and peaches are getting to be done soon. Squirrels, damn squirrels, ate a lot of my peaches that I had up on the hill. I had like 120 of donut peaches. They were so cute, and then now they're gone. All right. I think I'm going to call it a day. Maybe go eat some lunch. There it is. Now you can see the little skiff down here of blue to kind of pop in and create a sense of atmosphere and light. I don't know. Should I change the sky? Brandon, if you're still on, should I change the sky? Yes or no? Oh, you do like this guy? All right. Well, maybe I'll sleep on it, determine if I want to change it or not. I'm kind of digging the sky and the contrast against the darker rocks, but we'll see where it goes. All right. Thank you for watching. Have a stellar day. Brandon, keep painting.